Getting certified can help you get your first job in data science, get a promotion, and increase your salary. It shows that you have the right skills, which makes you more employable. But there is a huge problem, and people are wasting months on certifications with little to nothing to show for it. They are getting certified, but they're still unemployed and struggling. And that is because not all certs are the same. If you pick the wrong certification, you're not just losing out on opportunities, but you're going backwards and wasting precious time, wasting your life. Today we'll talk about the best data science certifications. I do want to emphasize that everyone does not need a certification, and if you have a decade of experience, then it's probably a waste of time, but for many people, it can be an absolute game changer. We're going to cover 3 different categories of certifications in this video, and first we have the kind of general data science ones and machine learning, which are great if you want to become a data scientist, a machine learning engineer, and so on. We're also going to cover the data engineering certifications, and finally we'll talk about some data analyst certifications. This video seriously took me weeks of research, and I'm going to share every little secret with you. I'm going to include both advanced and beginner level certifications that you can use to get your first job in data science. And regardless of your level, there will be something for you in this video. It's also great to be aware of all these certifications early so that you can take them in the future when you are ready and use them to improve your career, get new job opportunities, and increase your salary overall. So let's get started. First up on the list, we have the Microsoft Azure Data Scientist Associate. This is an intermediate level certification, but we'll talk about some beginners certifications as well. Now for this one, you can leverage it even as somebody relatively new, which we'll talk about as well. It's made for the data scientist role, and according to Microsoft themselves, you'll manage data ingestion and preparation, model training, deployment, as well as machine learning solutions, monitoring with Python, Azure Machine Learning, and Machine Learning Flow. This is a Microsoft certification, so you will be focusing on using the Microsoft tools, specifically Azure in this one. It is one of the most in-demand skills in data science, competing with other cloud platforms like AWS and Google Cloud Platform. More specifically, the skills that you'll focus on in this course include design and prepare a machine learning solution, explore data and trade models, prepare a model for deployment, as well as deploy and retrain a model. You'll have 100 minutes to complete the exam itself, and it's a one-time thing which you can do either on site or from the comfort of your own home. You will be monitored by a proctor during the entire duration of the test, but it's still way more practical than having to schedule an exam at a physical test center and go all the way there. But I do know that there are some people that prefer doing it in person as well, so both options are available. The price is around $165 on the high end in, for example, countries like the US, but it will depend on your location, so do check that out as well. And before I get asked this, because I always get asked this, will I have to renew my certification? And if so, is that free or do I have to pay for it? And to be honest, it does depend on the certification. For Microsoft ones, you generally don't have to pay because they actually allow you to renew most of them for free, and that also applies for this certification, which is definitely a plus. Now, let's talk a little bit about who this certification is for. And in my opinion, you should definitely have some experience in data science, focusing on machine learning. Sometimes the jobs can be very different, even if they have the same title. So if you do have a data scientist role, but you're mainly doing data analysis related tasks, then perhaps this one is not going to be the easiest for you. However, the only real requirement listed by Microsoft are that you've been using Azure Machine Learning and ML Flow, and that you have some practical experience. And it's quite vague exactly what you need to learn, but they do also have a practical assessment, which I highly recommend that you take to see how you're doing and if it's something that you could pass relatively easy, or if you would need a lot of studying to pass this one. Next up on our list, we have the Open Certified Data Scientist. This is technically not just one certification because they do have 3 different levels. The first one is called Level 1 Certified Data Scientist. We also have Level 2 Master Certified Data Scientist and Level 3 Distinguished Certified Data Scientist. So these certs can be very relevant regardless of your level. Before anything, you probably wonder who they are and why you should get a certification with them. And that's a valid question. And they're basically an organization founded in 1996 in San Francisco in the United States, and they create standards as well as offer certifications for different skills. Now this one is slightly different than the other certifications that we're going to talk about, and here you don't actually take a test, which is very interesting. You don't have to take any exam at all, and there's no course or anything to learn. Rather, what you do is that you submit your profile and you'll be evaluated on different criteria and see if you meet them. And if you do meet these criteria, you'll be awarded a certification right away with no exam or anything to do. So clearly, this is not something for a complete beginner. However, there is also something called the Associate Data Scientist by the Open Group, and that is one that you can get without any professional experience, and it's kind of a lower level cert of the same type. This more entry-level cert is specifically made for people that have built skills in, education environments by taking courses and doing some projects, and to give them an opportunity to validate these skills with a certification. I think that is fantastic because it's something that many people worry about because they've learned a lot of stuff, they've done projects, they've gained experience, but because it's not work experience, they believe that it's not valuable. And fine, everything is not going to be the same as work experience, but it can still be really, really valuable and useful. And I do appreciate that the Open Group has a certification like this, which actually focuses on students, beginners, and people that want to break into the field. The only requirement is that you've done some projects or that you've done some form of academic training and gotten hands-on experience, but it does not have to be work experience. The interesting thing about this one is that it's not related to a specific tool as well, like a Microsoft or Google certification, and I would say that it's both a good and a bad thing, because if you do have a specific tool like Microsoft Azure that you want to learn and be certified in, that can be a really good thing, but if you just want to get a general one, this might be a better option. Next up on the list, we have the SAS and Data Science certification. Now, SAS stands for Statistical Analysis System, and it's basically a software suite for analytics and business intelligence. In this certification, you'll be tested on your ability to manipulate and gain insights from big data with a variety of SAS and open source tools. You'll also make business recommendations with complex machine learning models, and finally, you'll deploy models at scale using SAS. They actually offer 4 different certifications, and that can help you launch a career in data science. According to themselves, you can either take just one, but optionally, you can also take a combination of different certifications if you want to and if you have the time. Personally, because there are a lot of other good ones on the list, I would just pick the one that's most relevant to you, so you have some time left to do the other ones if you want to. The first one is called a Data Curation Professional. Data curation is the organization and integration of data collected from various sources, and they do recommend that you've taken relevant training, which you can read more about on their page, and they also suggest that you have 2 to 3 months of hands-on experience using SAS data management tools. You can definitely get this from either projects or from work experience, so this one is available to you even at the entry level as long as you spend enough time and prepare for it properly. The next one is called Advanced Programming Professional. Now, this one is more focusing on the SAS programming language, and if you want to get certified in that specifically, then this is a great option. There are not these detailed requirements listed, but I did find a free practice exam on their website, which you can check out as well. And that is a very good way to test your level before paying anything for the exam. We also have the Advanced Analytics Professional, and this one is specifically focused on, analytics and using SAS and their different tools. For this one, you'll need to pass 3 different exams, and the first one is predictive modeling, then advanced predictive modeling, and finally text analytics, time series experimentation, and optimization. So it's 3 different exams that you have to pass, and for that reason you should definitely read more about this if you're interested, as it's going to be a significant time commitment. And finally, we have the AI and machine learning professional, and there are also multiple exams in this one, but it's all focusing on machine learning as expected. I do think that these certifications are good for people looking to break into the field. The price seems to be around 150 to 200 bucks for the exam. It could vary depending on your country, but the main thing to consider here is if SAS is actually relevant to you. Now, it's a great thing to learn, but I would only get these ones if you're specifically looking to get certified in SAS. Otherwise, there are better options on the list. Next up is going to be the data science certifications from DataCamp. This one is focusing on collecting, analyzing, and interpreting large amounts of data using machine learning and AI, as well as communicating the results to stakeholders. The tools you'll use are R or Python. You can actually choose, as well as SQL or structured query language. The exam itself is completely free, but you will need a subscription, which is I think 25 bucks a month, and it does take around 2 hours to complete. You can prepare for it in any way you want. They do have some specific preparation courses and also a preparations exam, which I do recommend that you take before attempting the exam. I'm gonna make a full video on this one and some other certifications later, so make sure that you subscribe so that you don't miss that. And while this one certainly isn't like a certification by Google or Microsoft or something like that, I would still say that it's recognized and well known. It's not gonna make companies throw themselves at you and think that you're an expert data scientist, but the main advantage advantage is that it's free as long as you have the subscription, so you don't lose anything by giving it a try, and I'll leave a link to it in the description as well. Moving on to number 5, which is going to be the Google Professional Machine Learning Engineer. I think it's pretty obvious what this one is about, but more specifically, they test you on your ability to architect low-cost ML solutions, scale prototypes into machine learning models, automate and orchestrate machine learning pipelines, collaborate to manage data models, serve and scale models, and finally monitor machine learning solutions. You'll have 2 hours for the exam, and it's 50 to 60 multiple choice questions, no open-ended questions, and it costs $200 to take the exam, a one-time fee, although the price may depend on your region as well. It is for people with 3 years of industry experience, including 1 or more years designing and managing solutions using Google Cloud. So this one is not really an entry-level certification, it's more for somebody that's been in the field and they're looking to increase their pay opportunities or, their general job opportunities and get certified. That is why the main preparation for this exam is actually work experience, so you can just review the sample questions and see exactly what they're looking for and then fill in the gaps and finally take the test. But I would not recommend this one if you don't have some experience. Number 6 is going to be the AWS Certified Machine Learning Specialty. And in the exam guide, it says that it focuses on applying machine learning approaches for a given business problem and also identifying appropriate AWS services to implement your machine learning solutions and design and implement scalable, cost-optimized, reliable, and secure machine learning solutions. Now the price is $300 as a one-time fee, and it's 180 minutes to complete the exam with 65 questions. They're all the multiple choice or multiple response. There are no open-ended questions, and you can take it online or at the physical test centers. This one is not for beginners either, I just want to put that out there, but we are going to get to a lot of more beginner certifications in just a second. It's a specialty level certification, which means that you should have a few years of relevant machine learning experience and working with AWS. Number 7 is going to be the PostgreSQL 13 Associate certification, and this one will test you on your ability to maintain and manage a PostgreSQL server and applications in a production environment. Now, if you don't know what PostgreSQL is, there are many different database management systems or DBMSs, and PostgreSQL is one of them. Some other examples would be MySQL or Microsoft SQL Server. The syntax varies a little bit depending on the type, but generally speaking the differences are not that significant, and if you do know the basics of SQL, you can pretty much learn any version of SQL when you need to. The price of the certification is around $200, and it may change depending on your location, but I was not able to find any information about that on their page. The exam you need to pass takes 60 minutes, so it's a really quick certification. It's filled with multiple choice questions, and you just need 70% or above to pass the exam. Just like most of the other ones, you can do them online. You buy access to take the exam, and you can take it anywhere within 6 weeks. When you complete the exam, you'll receive a certification and a badge from Enterprise DB to put on your LinkedIn or print out and do whatever you want with it. But again, the most important question is who should take the certification? And I would say that it's suitable for beginners and those with intermediate PostgreSQL experience because it kind of validates skills in managing and operating PostgreSQL databases and covers the foundational aspects of PostgreSQL. There are many ways to prepare for it, and on their website, they list one course as a prerequisite. Now, I would be a little bit suspicious about this one. It's called Foundations of PostgreSQL, and guess who the course is from? It's actually from them, and it's their own course. And surprisingly, it's very, very expensive, $1,200 for their short course. Now, luckily, you don't need to take that exact one, and I think that if you do, you could do it and it could be a good idea, but there are some really good other options as well. You can learn using other resources online, and just make sure that you don't miss any key concepts if you do decide to self-study this one without their course, because you don't want to pay for the exam over and over again and, have to retake it, because that can get very expensive too. But if you're looking to learn PostgreSQL, you can do that even on YouTube. There are a ton of great videos out there, so there's really nothing holding you back. Now, we're going to move on to category number 2, which is going to be very exciting, and these are the data engineering certifications. After this, we're going to get to all the data analytics certifications, which I know that some of you are waiting for, but I think that it's important that you understand the big picture and other certifications as well, because regardless of what you want to work with in data science, you might want to switch careers later, change to some job with a better pay, so it's a very good idea to be aware of all of these right now. Now, we're going to cover both advanced certifications as well as those perfect for beginners to get their first job in data science, or data engineering in this case. Number 1 on the list is going to be Google Professional Data Engineer. You'll be tested on your ability to design data processing systems, store data, maintain automated data workloads, ingest and process data, and finally prepare and use data for analysis. So basic data engineering tasks is what you're going to be tested on. The price is a maximum of $200 or lower depending on your location, and it's a 2-hour exam available in English and only Japanese, surprisingly, and has 50 to 60 multiple choice questions, so no open-ended questions, which I know a lot of you guys really don't want, so that's why I'm mentioning it. There are no prerequisites for this one, although they do recommend 3 years of industry experience, including 1 year designing and managing solutions using Google Cloud. So as with the previous Google certs we mentioned, the best way to prepare is just to get some experience and then check the details of the exam and fill in the gaps as you go. Number 2 is going to be the Cloudera Certified Data Engineer. And this one is very interesting. The exam itself is very different than the other ones that we mentioned so far, because it actually contains 5 to 10 hands-on tasks which you will have to perform by working with the Cloudera Enterprise Cluster, so their own tool. It's going to test your ability even deeper than the other ones because you actually have to apply it yourself. The price is $330 for the entire certification, and you'll have a time limit of 240 minutes, which is pretty long for a certification like this, and it means that you'll be sitting there for 4 hours if you want to. Now, it might sound like a ton of time, but also consider the fact that you're doing hands-on tasks, which means that you'll not just be answering a simple question, but rather implement a working solution and multiple tasks, because there are actually multiple things that you have to implement. The requirements and how to prepare are very vague for this one. I mean, they're looking for somebody with in-depth experience developing data engineering solutions. They do have some more specific information on their page, but in general, it's certainly more for the advanced person. Number 3 on the data engineering list is going to be the AWS Certified Data Engineer Associate. And this one is going to be way better for people who are not experts, who are more looking to, get a new job or get their first job. This one will focus on correlated AWS services, your ability to ingest and transform data, as well as build data pipelines while applying programming concepts, design data models, manage data lifecycles, and ensure quality of your data. Again, common data engineering tasks focusing on using AWS services. The price is around $150, but may vary depending on your location, and it is 130 minutes for the exam, 65 multiple choice questions, and this one is also part of the associate level exams. To give you a better idea, I want to explain these different levels so that you know what level you should focus on if you're taking an AWS exam. Amazon Web Services, or AWS, has 4 different certification levels. The first one is called Foundational Certifications, and then we have Associates, we also have Professional and Specialty. Now, there's not a data engineering certification at the foundational level, so this is actually the earliest or the most beginner level friendly data engineering certification that you can get from Amazon. They still recommend 2 to 3 years of data engineering expertise, or at least 1 to 2 years specifically working with AWS. But these are just recommendations, and there are actually no specific prerequisites. So if you are an overachiever and you're able to study up on all of this on your own, you're able to do projects and really learn hands-on, you could take this one even without work experience. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to be easy or the best option for beginners in any way, but I'm just saying that if you are an overachiever, these requirements are usually meant to scare you away rather than make you sign up for the certification, so you may want to consider it. To prepare for this one, you can start by understanding the exam and what questions they ask, and then you can learn about the different topics, as well as go to their exam preparation guide. And finally, they have a practice exam, which I highly recommend that you take to see what your level is at, perhaps even before you get started studying for it, because if you're so far away, then maybe you want to focus on something else. Another bonus with the AWS certifications that you might have missed is that getting a certification will actually give you 50% on your next exam. So if you want to get multiple ones from Amazon, you can save a lot of money by just taking one and getting a discount on the next one. Alright, number 4 on the list is the Databricks Certified Data Engineer Associate. And this one is beginner level for once. I mean, there's been a lot of more advanced ones on this list, but we do have some beginner ones as well, and I think those ones are important because most of you guys are going to be at the beginner level, but it's still important to be aware of all of them. The objective here is to use the Databricks Lakehouse platform to complete introductory level data engineering tasks. If we look at the details of the exam, it's actually divided up into 5 different sections. The first one is the Databricks Lakehouse platform, which is 24% of the exam. Part 2 is ELT with Spark, SQL, and Python, and ELT stands for Extract, Load, and Transform, and this is around 29% of the exam contents. Then incremental data processing at 22%, production pipelines at 16%, and finally data governance at another 9%. When it comes to the price, it's $200 for the certification and you have 90 minutes to answer 45 multiple choice questions. They don't have any prerequisites, but they do recommend related training, and they also recommend 6 months of hands-on experience with data engineering and the tasks outlined in the exam guide. I do believe that it should be achievable even without a job, because you can get experience from projects and other forms of learning, not just work experience. But if you do have more experience and you want to go for another certification that's slightly more advanced, they do also have a professional level certification. For this one, they recommend 1 year of hands-on experience instead of 6 months. So it's still relatively beginner friendly. It covers Databricks tools, data processing, data modeling, security and governance, monitoring and logging, and testing and deployment. The main thing to consider about this one is that if it's relevant to your career, you have to decide if the Databricks Lakehouse platform is something that you want to focus on. If you want to focus on other platforms or tools, then it's probably not going to be the best option, so you may want to consider that before you get started. Alright, number 5, or actually number 6, is the Microsoft Azure Data Engineering Associate Certification. First, it's all about learning to manage and analyze data using Microsoft Azure and different cloud services. They also focus a lot on SQL in this one, and it's a key skill for the Azure data engineer, so you'll be tested on that as well. In the requirements, they write that you must have a solid knowledge of data processing languages, including SQL, Python, and Scala. Now for the price, it's $165 in the US, £113 in the UK, and 4,800 Indian rupees at the moment of this recording. The cost varies depending on your location, so it's best to check the official Microsoft website. For the exam, you need to pass the DP203 exam, and if we do take a look at the skills measured section, we can see that it's roughly 15 to 20% design and implement data storage, 40 to 45% develop data processing, which is going to be the main part of the exam, and finally 35 or 30 to 35% about securing, monitoring, and optimizing data storage and data processing. This exam is for data professionals with a background in SQL, Python, and Scala that are looking to focus on learning and getting certified in Azure's data services, focusing on data engineering. For that reason, I would not recommend it for beginners, but you can always give it a try as long as you check out the exam preparation material and see where you are currently at. And it can also be a very fun learning experience to just try where you're at for different certifications. Now we're going to move over to the data analyst certifications, and I've got 6 amazing ones for you on this list, and these are proven to help you get jobs or help real people get jobs. And many of these will be beginner level as well, that you can use to get your first data analyst job, and some will be for more senior positions. But this is everything you need to know about data analyst certifications, regardless of where you're starting from, so let's just get right into it. The first certification is by Microsoft, and it's called Azure Data Fundamentals, also known as Microsoft DP900. It's a certification for beginners, although you do need a general understanding of data and how to deal with it. Databases, relational and non-relational data, and so on. If you have this knowledge, it should only take a few hours to prepare for the exam, which is literally nothing. For others, it might take a little bit longer, just a few weeks, but it's still a very quick certification. You don't have to spend months studying for this test or something. Now, the exam itself takes around an hour to do, but we'll talk more about exams later. Let's discuss how it can help you and why you should actually take this certification. So the learning before the exam is going to help you become familiar with cloud-based data services like Azure, AWS, and so on, and also get this knowledge certified by Microsoft. As you probably know, cloud is getting more and more important because, well, organizations, they use it. Now, this certification is also really good because Microsoft's tools are very popular. Microsoft Azure is very popular, and it's the same suite as Power BI, and it's a solid company, and their certifications are well known and respected. Now, I do want to say that for a data analyst, this is not going to be the most essential certification when you get started. I would recommend focusing on learning SQL and visualization software and so on first. So don't just rely on this one, because it's a little bit too specialized for a beginner. Now, it can definitely help, especially if you want to focus more on the cloud skills, but keep in mind that for getting your first job, you'll still need all of the SQL, the data viz, and so on. I do think the certification is a very good idea if you're planning to, move into more specialized roles like data engineering later. It's going to give you a gentle introduction to some of the skills often desired over there, and so it can therefore help you prepare prepare for different Microsoft DA or DBA certs if you want to, but as a beginner, I wouldn't even worry about this. So in case you want to prepare for this exam, how do you do it? Well, you can take their learning path on the Microsoft website. You can also go on Coursera, and there'll be a great course which is going to prepare you directly for this certification. Funny enough, it's called Preparing for DP900, and I'm going to leave a link in the description. Now, as a last option, you can also enjoy some great free resources on YouTube or anywhere else online. There are a lot of good free resources out there for learning these skills. There is not going to be an issue. Everything is out there for free online. Let's talk about the price of the certification. Now, the actual price is going to be $99 for the exam fee in the US, but the price is going to depend on your country. So in some countries, it's going to be way less, although this certification is always going to come with a fee. The good thing is that most Microsoft certifications expire within a few years, unfortunately. This one never expires because it's part of the Microsoft fundamentals. So that's a huge plus. It's a permanent certification. You never need to renew it. Alright, let's go ahead with the next one. This is a very popular certification that I highly recommend, and it's called Tableau Certified Data Analyst. It's for beginners who are looking to become, well, data analysts, and there are no prerequisites at all for this one. You don't need years of experience or anything. It's actually for real beginners. Okay, now honestly, they do recommend 6 months of experience with Tableau itself, but this is not some kind of job experience that they demand. It just means that you should have been learning and using Tableau for a couple of months. I think it's a pretty bad idea to, try to get this exam after a week, so just don't try to get the cert after like weeks of learning. I think it would be pretty useless to try to get this cert after a few weeks of learning. That's going to be very difficult, so at least give it some time, but it is for beginners. So how can this certification actually help you? Well, Tableau is highly in demand, and it is a very good certification to have for jobs, as this skill is desired by many, many companies. Having this certification by Tableau, it also shows that you understand the fundamentals of data analysis in itself, in addition to, being proficient in the actual tool itself. For the skills you're going to be tested on and what you're going to learn when you study for this certification, I'm going to give you a quick breakdown of the core skills. First, you'll have to connect data to a data source, and then you'll have to perform some data transformations. Next, you'll have to explore and analyze this data, create some visualizations, and share the content that you create. Those are the main objectives of this Tableau certification. Now, at this point, you're probably wondering, what about the exam itself? And it's 120 minutes and completely in English. I don't think it's available in other languages. I did see it available in Japanese, but I haven't seen any other languages, so you might want to check that out if it's better for you. Now, you will get your results within 48 hours, which is going to be insanely fast, and it contains both normal questions like, multiple choice, you have a couple of different options to pick between, but also a few practical assignments. And I think for most people, those are going to be the more challenging ones, so that's why it's important to prepare correctly. So, how do you prepare for this certification? Well, Tableau has a lot of different courses and different learning paths on their website, but this is unfortunately going to come at a cost. So the best way is to just start to build projects with Tableau, and you actually use it. Leverage online courses and different tutorials, for example, on YouTube. I know a lot of great people on YouTube that made some really good Tableau courses. And all of these resources are out there completely for free, just waiting for you, and you're going to learn a ton if you actually make use of them. Now, finally, the price is going to be around $250 for the entire certification, and it's just a one-time fee, so there are no other fees. Especially if you learn for free and you don't take their learning path, the entire cost of this certification is going to be the one-time fee. Now, if you do take one of their paid courses or whatever, it's going to be a little bit higher, but again, you don't necessarily have to take one of the paid learning paths. You can learn for free online. Alright, let's move over to the next certification. Cloudera Certified Data Analyst. To explain who it's for, I'm just going to quote their own website. The CCA Data Analyst exam was created to identify talented SQL developers looking to stand out and be recognized by employers looking for these skills. This is a certification for SQL developers, data analysts, BI specialists, DBAs, and so on. Now, the question here is, can you take this one without any work experience? And from what I've seen, yes, but with a twist. I think that a beginner could get this certificate, but it's not going to be easy at all. You can check under the required skills here, and these things aren't impossible to learn by yourself, for example through courses and projects. Some of these skills include creating reports, writing queries, and so on. But as mentioned, it is going to be really tough, and if you do get a certificate though, it could be a career booster, especially as many of these skills are very important to companies, and here you're directly directly getting tested and certified by Cloudera. Now, what about the exam itself? Well, it consists of 8 to 12 different tasks and problems that you have to solve on your own. For all of this, you're going to have 120 minutes to take the exam, and you do need a score of 70% or above to pass, so that's pretty good. It's not too high, but also not too low. I believe that in university, perhaps that's like a C level or something. And this is about implementing a technical solution while meeting the requirements, live under time pressure, and while you're being watched by a proctor. So you will have to prepare a lot for this one. There's going to be some pressure on you, some stress, some time pressure, but also just being watched and actually having to do everything yourself live. So it's not supposed to be easy. This certification is only available in English, and the price is around $295 for the exam. They have their own course. Now, I think it requires some extensive preparation. You need to learn the concepts in and out and the specific tools. So in my opinion, although they kind of frame themselves as a beginner certification, I wouldn't really say that it's for beginners. You could do this for sure, especially if you have some experience, but for a beginner, the next one is going to be so much better. So let's move on to the next certification. This is one of my favorite certifications overall, and especially for beginners. So let's get right into it. It's called Microsoft Power BI Data Analyst Associate, or as you may know it, Microsoft PL300. This one is for complete beginners aiming to secure their first job as a data analyst and specialize and gain a lot of skills in Power BI. By preparing for this certification, you're going to learn and be tested on a few different key things. First, we have actually preparing data. Then we have modeling data, visualizing and analyzing data, deploying and maintaining assets, and of course you're going to do everything in Power BI. Power BI is a data viz tool, and it's highly in demand on the job market, and it's also by Microsoft, so you know that kind of makes sense. It's their own program. So we know that the cert is amazing, but how do you actually prepare for it as a beginner? Well, there are 3 main ways to prepare for this exam, and I'll tell you my own preference as well. The first way is to go through Microsoft's own learning path. They have a couple of different modules about this on their websites, and you can take this completely for free. I think it's a great option if you want to. But in my opinion, something that's even better is to take the Microsoft Power BI Data Analyst program on Coursera. The program is going to help you prepare for this certification directly as well, and I just like Coursera a lot. I prefer Coursera over the Microsoft, the Microsoft Learning Path. The experience in general has been a lot better on Coursera, but it's going to be up to you, of course. The last course of this Coursera program is just about exam preparation for the PL300 exam, so it's a great program to leverage. I'm going to leave all the links in the description, and I do get a small commission if you use my link, which helps me make more videos like this. Now, there is also Data Camp and the Data Analyst in Power BI career track. This is also going to prepare you nicely for the exam, and as you can see, there are multiple ways. About the price of the actual exam itself, it is going to vary depending on your country and your location. For the US, as a standard price, it's going to be around $165 for the exam. On a positive note, it is a one-time fee, and you can renew it for free. And I also think the price is going to be slightly lower in other countries. If you do want to save money though, I mean, don't we all, and get a 50% discount on the certification itself, you can complete the Coursera program, as I recommended. At the end of this program, you'll get a voucher for a 50% off the certification. And this preparation program is pretty quick, so you can actually save money by doing this. The same applies for Data Camp students. They also get a 50% off, so it's up to you to pick whatever platform you prefer. I would personally go with Coursera over Data Camp because it's designed by Microsoft themselves, but of course I am biased, and all of these are really good options. I actually have a full video on how to prepare for this exam, but watch that later because I still have a few great certifications to show you, possibly even better for you. As always, there are also resources on YouTube and online if you want to prepare for free. Anyway, this is definitely one of the best certifications out there for aspiring data analysts because it's for beginners, it's by Microsoft, and it's respected. One downside is that if you're a strict Tableau user, it's probably not going to be the best experience. I mean, everything's about Power BI in this one. Next up, we have the CompTIA Data Plus, and according to their own website, it is an early career data analytics certification for professionals tasked with developing and promoting data-driven business decision making. Alright, that's a lot of words. Let's try to simplify this. Basically, it's an early career data analytics certificate, and and you can use this one to land a few different jobs. Obviously, some easier than others depending on your previous experience or education, or lack of both of them. I'm all about giving you the truth, and that's gonna play a major part in everything, of course. If you have a master's in, I don't know, data science, of course that's gonna help you get a job. But on this channel, I wanna show you how to reach your goals regardless of your previous experience or your education, and whether you have any of that or not. Some of the jobs you can land after this certification are data architect, data analyst, data scientist, business analyst, reporting analyst, operating analyst, analyst. No, okay, enough. So how can this one actually help you get a job? Well, from my research, it seems to be one of the most well-known certifications overall, which will definitely look good on your resume. The key skills you'll learn are data concepts and environments, data mining, data analysis and visualization, data governance, quality, and controls. Now, the exam itself is around 90 minutes, and the price is quite a downside. It is a pretty expensive certification, unfortunately. The actual exam itself is around $246, and I'm not sure if this price depends on your country. I hope so, but perhaps it doesn't. That's not too bad, but to get their study guide, it's about $359 in total. Now, there should be some other resources available online for free as well, so if you want to save money, there are different options. But for the ideal preparation and exam to get the certification, you will have to spend a couple of $100. A good thing is that you only take the certification and the exam once, and then you can renew it for life for free. Alright, so we covered a lot in this video. Now let's get into the more advanced certifications. And there are a lot of them, so I might make a separate video and just kind of rank the different certifications. Let me know if you want that. But even if you're just a beginner right now and you don't feel like you need these advanced certifications now, understanding these will be very helpful. It's going to show you what skills to focus on and what's going to carry you forward to a more senior position. And it's just because I suppose you don't want to be a beginner forever, you want the higher salaries, the better jobs, and these certs will help you get there. So the first one is AWS Certified Data Analytics. This is primarily a cert to show your excellence in the cloud and dealing with AWS. It's generally speaking for people with 5 years of experience with common data analytics technologies, and you should also have 2 years of experience working with AWS. It's a 180-minute exam, so slightly longer than the other exams. This cert is on a specialty level, and to give you a brief understanding of the different levels of Amazon certifications, we have the basic foundational level first, then we have the associate level, and finally the more advanced, the higher levels, which are the professional and specialty levels. So it's made to be difficult, it's supposed to be, it's not a beginner certification. So how do you prepare for this exam now that it's so advanced? Amazon, they're actually really nice. They have a lot of great resources to prepare for this exam completely for free. They have an exam guide, sample questions, and so on. Everything's free, really. Now, they even have a platform for you to practice on, as well as a training, like an actual classroom training if you prefer that. Now, don't get me wrong, this is all going to be really helpful, but I guarantee you that it's not enough to actually get this certification. The biggest preparation and something that's expected from you will be experience, hands-on work experience. These exam guidelines and practice questions, they're not meant to replace that, but rather strengthen your knowledge about specific things and fill in any gaps before taking the final test. Anyway, it's going to cost you about $300 to take the exam, and it's a one-time fee. Now let's move on to number 6, the Microsoft Azure Enterprise Data Analyst Associate certification. That's a really long name. I'm going to start by discussing who it's for because it's a pretty advanced cert. According to Microsoft, you should have advanced Power BI skills, including managing data repositories, data processing, and you should also be familiar with Power Query and data analysis expressions. They also ask that you're proficient in Azure Synapse Analytics, confident working with relational databases, TSQL, and DataVis. As you can see, it is a lot, and it's not for beginners. I would say that it's more like a tool for a data professional to climb the career ladder upwards, and getting this one as a data analyst, for example, could allow you to get better job offers with higher salaries later. The price is around $165 in the US, which I think is really fair for an advanced level certification, and you prepare for it using their learning path or self-study these things, or just, learn them at your job and fill in the gaps. I'm gonna leave all the links in the description, and check out this video next, handpicked by the YouTube algorithm for you. I hope this was helpful. Have an amazing week, guys.